Coming to you live from Nairobi, Kenya. Welcome to Africa Focus, where we bring you news from across the continent right here on Switch TV Kenya. My name is Joel Church and our sign language interpreter is Tracy Dorcas. Start interacting with us on our social media platforms at Switch TV Kenya, at Joel Chacha M on Twitter, and as well on Facebook, Switch TV Kenya and Joel Chacha. Send in an SMS via 111 Again, it's 444 But first, here are stories making headlines. Protests rock the Nigerian embassy in Pretoria as part of a campaign to oust foreigners from South Africa. 2,000 Ethiopians charged over violence that erupted after the June killing of a pop star from the Oromo ethnic group. A new prime minister appointed in Somalia after brokering an agreement with regional leaders for elections next year that abandons a promised one person, one vote mode. We begin in South Africa, where protesters gathered outside the Nigerian embassy in Pretoria as part of a campaign to oust foreigners from South Africa. Foreign workers are often victims of anti-migrant sentiment in South Africa, which is the continent's most industrialized economy, where they compete against locals for jobs, particularly in low-skilled sectors.
Xenophobic attacks left at least 62 people dead in 2008, while another 7 were killed by similar unrest in 2015. Violence flared again in September last year when armed mobs descended on foreign-owned businesses in and around financial hub Johannesburg. The ensuing clashes left at least 12 people dead, of whom 10 were South Africans. HRW has accused law enforcement officials of being complicit. It claims foreign-owned businesses are disproportionately targeted by crackdowns on counterfeit goods and that migrants are arbitrarily detained for allegedly lacking the right documents. According to the group, police are reluctant to protect immigrants and investigate crimes against foreigners. The report calls for more urgent, concrete measures to protect foreign nationals, claiming the government plan has been just words on paper so far. The Home Affairs Department has not responded to requests for comment. South Africa has long been a magnet for economic migrants searching for better job prospects in the region. South Africa plays host to more than 2.2 million foreigners, ranging from the political refugees and economic migrants to skilled expatriate workers, according to the last population census in 2011. Nyakundi Kelvin, Africa Focus.
Shifting gears now and our focus on politics. Somalia's President Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed appointed a new prime minister after brokering an agreement with regional leaders for elections next year that abandons a promise to one person, one vote model. Mohamed's office announced the appointment of Mohamed Hussein Robel, who is a Swedish-trained civil engineer and political neophyte, and wished him to take duties and tasks ahead with diligence.
The foreign-backed government in Mogadishu has been in drawn-out negotiations with Somalia's federal states over how to proceed with parliamentary and presidential elections. However, the process has been held up by political infighting between the president, better known by his nickname, Farmajo, and the country's regional leaders. Somalia had set itself the goal of holding its first fully democratic one-man, one-vote election since 1969, as opposed to a complex system in which special delegates pick lawmakers who then vote for the president. An agreement reached between the president, 5 regional leaders and the mayor of Mogadishu has considered that such a vote would be impossible within the time frame remaining before Somalia's parliament expires in November and Farmajo's term ends in February 2021. Observers had warned that such a goal was looking increasingly unlikely due to tensions with the state's technical aspects, such as a voter registration and security challenges posed by the Al-Qaeda-affiliated Al-Shabaab militant group. Mogadishu has been criticized by observers for engaging in political feuds with federal states to gain control in the election process rather than focusing on the fight against the Islamist militants.
Meanwhile, Dalien Diallo from Guinea's leading opposition party UFDG has reiterated that voters will punish President Alpha Conde for his record in office and the strength of the people will prevent him from clinching a third term in office. Take a look.
Il n'y a aucune chance que Alpha soit élu.
There's no chance that Alpha Conde will be elected, at least not in a ballot box. I think the risks of a coup d'etat or at least an electoral hold-up, as was the case in the past, are less likely because the Ghanaians are determined.
Maintenant, s'il essaie de s'imposer,
Now, if he tries to impose himself by force, naturally he will find the strength of our people gets in his way, because the people of Guinea are determined not only to deny him a third term, but also to punish him for the catastrophic record he has left after 10 years in power.
de pouvoir.
Algerian President Abdelmadjid Tebboune has called for an establishment of independent sovereign state for Palestinians with Jerusalem as its capital. His remarks comes at a speech he delivered at the 75th UN General Assembly via video link. He expressed firm support for the Palestinian people and their inalienable right to establish their independent sovereign state with Jerusalem as its capital.
قضية مقدسة.
Regarding the Palestinian cause, which remains a sacred cause of Algeria and its people, it is the most important issue, and we would like to express our wholehearted support to the Palestinian people and for its just cause and the rights of its people that should not be compromised. We call on the establishment of an independent sovereign state with Jerusalem as its capital.
وعاصمتها القدس الشريف. تسير الجزائر اليوم بخطى ثابتة.
Today, Algeria is striding forward in strengthening the pillars of democracy, rule of law, and social justice in the wake of the democratic change that was achieved through the peaceful demonstration movement which led to the presidential elections back in December 2019.
انتخابات رئاسية شهر ديسمبر 19.
Ethiopia's Attorney General has said that around 2,000 people are facing charges of violence that erupted after the June killing of a pop star from Oromo ethnic group. The June 29th shooting of Hachalu Hundessa, whose songs channeled Oromo feelings of marginalization, sparked days of inter-ethnic attacks and violence by police and soldiers. The Attorney General denies that investigations are politically motivated.
The June 29th shooting of Hachalu Hundessa, whose songs channel Oromo feelings of marginalization, sparked days of inter-ethnic attacks and violence by police and soldiers that underscored persistent security wars under Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed.
Judicial system, the current figure we have is above 2,000 suspects are being charged for their participation in the violence that has taken place in the Oromo regional state.
Ethiopian Defense Force.
Among the most high-profile opposition politicians set to stand trial is Jawar Mohammed, a former media mogul who was once considered an Abiy ally.
As well, that the elections will be free and fair, and there is no mincing any words, there is no confusion that the rule of law proceedings have nothing to do at all with trying to get, as you say, some prominent voices out of it.
Some of the suspects, some of the accused are politicians, but they are not being charged for their political activity. They are being charged for their acts.
Gideon said more than 160 people were killed and around 360 injured after Hachalu's killing. Officials have previously provided death tolls as high as 239.
So while COVID-19 still remains...
Time to take a breather. Stay with us here on Africa Focus. Still to come. We tell you how former DR Congo warlords pitch message of peace. Welcome back to Africa Focus. My name is Joel Church and our sign language interpreter is Tracy Dorcas. Moving on, families affected by rabies are calling upon the Kenyan government to vaccinate all dogs for free. This is as on 28th September, the world celebrated the World Rabies Day. The theme of this year is End Rabies, Collaborate, Vaccinate, and this is a story I prepared. Dogs are man's best friend, they say, and they are prominent in our lives and we share a special bond. But rabies can easily tear that bond to pieces. We visit Makueni County, which has one of the highest rates of rabies in Kenya, and also it is the pilot area showing critical elements to success of elimination of rabies, with the county still known for spearheading devolution. In the outskirts of Wote town in this home, we meet Masi Mudhoki, a resident of Ntangu, who narrates how a rabid dog robbed them the only cow they were depending on.
Saa venye hiyo mbwa ilikuja, ikauma hiyo ng'ombe. Ng'ombe tu ilikufa. Tulikuwa tunapata mapato kutoka kwa hiyo ng'ombe. Tulikuwa tunauza maziwa. Saa venye hiyo ng'ombe ilikufa, tukaacha kukamua ng'ombe.
It has remained a deserted cowshed. For 4 years now, they've been unable to afford another cow. And with the coronavirus here with us, they're feeling the pinch of rabies. Not far from this homestead, the home of Jen Musioka, we are welcomed by the barking of these 3 dogs and sending an alert to the homeowner. Her case is no different from that of Mudhoki's home, as she was forced to kill her own dog after samples were collected and tested by a veterinarian after her goat was bitten by a rabid dog.
Nilikuwa na ng'ombe moja ilikuwa mgonjwa. Lakini sikuwa najua mbeleni, lakini kijana mwenye anachunga na kaniita akaniambia ikuli. Na mimi nikatoka nikaenda nikaangalia. Kuenda kuangalia nikakuta imesimama mahali hivi. Na kuniona ni kama nataka kukimbia. Sasa tukaangalia tukaona iko na shida. Tukasema hiyo inaweza kuwa imeuma na kitu. Ndio tukaita daktari. Hiyo mbwa ilikuwa na hiyo kisatu imeua.
Dog bite cases keep piling up in this area, and Bishop Benjamin Mwai's son follows the same trend. 3 years ago, his son, who is now 13 years, was bitten by a dog in a case that left the whole village in shock.
Huyo mtoto aumwe na mbwa, akiona mbwa anakimbia na anaogopa mbwa.
According to data from the Ministry of Health, there were 293,901 dog bites reported in 2019. Of these, 1,042 were suspected rabies cases, while 180 persons died from rabies. On average, there are 2,000 rabies deaths annually, as documented in the 2014-2030 Elimination of Human Rabies Strategic Plan. According to Dr. Emily Mudoga from the World Animal Protection, she describes rabies as a viral disease that causes inflammation of the brain in humans and other mammals.
If you've been bitten along the neck or the head, like you see in many children, if treatment is not immediate, and I said all cases treatment has to be immediate, then within 2 to 3 weeks, the person will succumb to rabies. But if you're bitten on the hand or on the leg, because of the distance it has to take to travel up your nerve system to the brain, it has been shown that from bite to death can take 3 months, and the longest recorded is 3 years.
Makueni Director of Veterinary Services Daniel Kse shares how they embarked on vaccination and community reach-out projects.
Like we were picking one teacher per ward, what we call wards. And then that teacher, when we train them, we help them or facilitate them to train a number of teachers in various schools in that ward.
According to experts, in comparison to other communicable diseases, rabies is preventable yet incurable. Therefore, a focus should be given to control. Joel Chacha, Switch TV, Watertown, Makueni County. Sabuni Chikunda, who is a Nansen Refugee Award regional winner for Africa and has over the years faced great adversity but continues to help others. She is a teacher, community leader and counselor who won't let her painful past define her future. The Nansen Refugee Award sheds a light on the challenges faced by refugees and displaced people. It gives them a voice and appreciate the efforts of those who work tirelessly like Sabuni to protect their rights.
I feel so good. I feel so proud. I feel I'm a woman of empowerment. It's challenging me to go forward, for continue to teach and training and sharing skills with other women and telling them to be open. Don't make things on your hearts. My message for my fellow refugee, it's like to stand firm. Let us join hands together and be one and fight against this sexual this human sexual harassments, the one is passing all over the world. It's not only in Congo, it is all over.
The Nansen Refugee Award is an annual award that recognizes individuals, groups or organizations who go above and beyond the call of duty to support refugees, stateless and displaced populations. It recognizes the bravery and the selflessness of such acts and projects that are implemented in the field, the direct support that they provide to the most vulnerable category. Sabuni Francois Shekunda was chosen for this award to receive the Regional Nansen Refugee Award for Africa because of her bravery, her acts of selflessness, defying the challenges and obstacles that she went through herself, turning them into an opportunity to others, an inspiration to many by providing them with skills, by providing them with the knowledge to achieve their own potential. And as she always says, we all have to look forward and move forward.
Meanwhile, heavily armed militiamen from the Cooperation for the Development of Congo, that is CODECO, have negotiated peace terms with former warlords sent as emissaries of peace by Congolese President Felix Tshisekedi. This is the authorities' gamble to put an end to the massacres of civilians in Ituri province in the northeast of the Democratic Republic of Congo. According to the UN, more than 1,000 civilians have been massacred since December 2017.
At his side in German Katanga, sentenced in 2014 by the International Criminal Court for war crimes, Katanga gives an approving nod as Njabu makes his speech, but at the same time, he keeps a watchful eye on the militiamen in front of him with their heavy weapons, ammunition, spears, knives and fetishes.
The president sent us here to seek peace, to ask that CODECO, the armed branch in Jubo, in north of Ituri, that they cease exactions and hostilities.
CODECO is a political military sect that claims to defend the Lendu, a local ethnic group who are mainly sedentary farmers. Most of the victims have been herders and traders from the traditional rivals, the Hema, according to a UN report that says a possible crime against humanity has been committed.
They agreed first of all with the appeal of the president. You will see that the discussion was long, but in the end, they agreed that for one moment to the next, as soon as the head of state is going to respond to their specifications or to their integrations into the army or the police or to the community reintegration, everything will be fine.
Attacks in Ituri spread into new areas after CODECO splintered following Ndujulo's death, UN Human Rights Investigation said in June. According to the UN, more than 1,000 civilians have been killed since December 2017, while the International Crisis Group says 500,000 people have fled their homes. Lendu civilians also say that they have been victims of military reprisals.
We are fighting because of the violence of the FAR RDC. Pregnant women are stopped on the roads. They are raped with impunity, and the government says nothing.
Integrating militiamen into the security forces, providing them with status and a career path, is a time-honored strategy in many troubled African countries. Experts, however, caution that such schemes also require long-term commitment, including punishment of those guilty of major crimes.
I ask the Hema, traditional rivals of CODECO ED, to stop attacking people on the roads. If they don't, we will continue the war.
Away from that, and now on our focus on the COVID-19 pandemic, the lemurs of Madagascar's undersea forest have been able to enjoy their island paradise tourist-free for months after the Indian Ocean nation imposed movement restrictions to limit the spread of COVID-19. But struggling tourist facilities breathed a small sigh of relief at the start of September when local nature lovers were finally allowed to travel to the reserve, which is a 4-hour drive east of the capital, Antananarivo. They now eagerly await the resumption of international flights, which bring visitors from across the world eager to catch a glimpse of the island emblematic primates.
Andasibe Forest is one of Madagascar's many wildlife tourism destinations. Owing to the coronavirus lockdown and closure of the borders, the lemurs that live here have recently had more alone time than they're used to. Visitor numbers are gradually increasing, but with international flights still suspended, the usual foreign tourists are being replaced by Malagasy people. This family made a 4-hour drive from the capital to come and see their island's iconic creatures.
During the lockdown, I decided I really wanted to get out of Antananarivo when it was over, to visit new places we've never seen before.
I'm really happy to see the lemurs because they're not in captivity. We're seeing them in their natural habitat. It's so exciting to see them up close, to see their way of life, even the way that they eat.
Madagascar's tourism workers welcome the locals, but it's not enough. They need the footfall provided by international flights, though these have not operated since March 2020. This hotel and landowner used to employ around 100 people. The majority of them have now been unemployed for more than 3 months.
D'habitude, à cette période, on est en pleine haute saison et on fait un taux de remplissage de plus de 90%.
Usually at this time of year, it's high season and we'd be 90% full. However, now the tourists are not typical tourists but local visitors, and we're no more than 5 or 10% full.
On a un taux de remplissage qui ne va pas dépasser les 5 ou 10%.
The pandemic is also having a disastrous impact on local nature. Forest guide Pascal has noticed a large increase in deforestation, the like of which he hasn't seen in over 30 years.
Because of the lockdown, many local villagers have cut down the trees for firewood because they can sell it. Others make timber. They're illegally exploiting the forest to make money.
And as the trees burn, so does the natural habitat of the lemurs, mammals that only exist naturally on this island. This is a fragile ecosystem, but it is crucial for Madagascar's tourism industry, a sector that accounts for 7% of the island's economy.
Elsewhere, Zimbabwe teachers are absent from schools as the new term begins to prepare for national examinations. The teachers are demanding better working conditions and COVID-19 protective equipment. Teachers' salaries have been heavily eroded by inflation, which stands at over 700% to an average equivalent to $40 a month. Zimbabwe is being buffeted by its worst economic crisis in over a decade and is grappling with hyperinflation.
Turn up for duty, and it's early days yet to come up with a conclusive position in terms of attendance. But the most important point is that teachers are not happy. Teachers can't survive. Teachers couldn't come to work. $40 is an insult. And we are saying if government is really serious, let's engage and make sure that we go somewhere. Teachers have lost their ranking in terms of our society. It's actually an insult to be a teacher. It's a curse, and people are simply saying if government is honest, address the problems so that we don't have people who are coming 100% every day to school, yet they are physically absent, yet they are psychologically absent in these schools.
I beg your pardon, I meant hyperinflation. That's all we had on Africa Focus today, but keep the conversation going on our social media platforms at Switch TV Kenya. To Joel Chacha M on Twitter and as well on Facebook, Switch TV Kenya. My name is Joel Chacha and our sign language interpreter is Tracy Dorcas. Until next time, do have yourself a great day.